It's hour 3, the afternoon portion of the program. It's our pleasure to welcome now Joey Deason, Executive Director of the Madison County Economic Development Authority. Hey, Joey, good to see you.
Hey, Gerard. Thank you very much for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
You bet. So give us an update from MCEDA, riding around the mega site there just south of Canton and the other site in Ridgeland, around Highland Colony Parkway and 55, 220, kind of sandwiched in between those routes. Lots of activity going on, lots of folks on site building these gigantic Amazon Web Services facilities. What's the latest?
Well, let's go back and revisit the original project that was announced in January of last year. What came out of the legislation and what came out in the press release was obviously $10 billion and 1,000 jobs, paying more than $80,000 a year. And it was 2 hyperscale data center campuses. And at that point, we read a lot of the blogs. We look at a lot of this information as well. And there were a lot of comments that, there's no way that 2 data centers are going to be $10 billion. So it's sort of not a secret anymore, because if you fly in and out of Jackson, it's pretty easy to identify. At the end of the day, if you're flying in from Atlanta or Dallas or Washington and you fly over Madison County, you can see to the north and to the west of Nissan that it's not a single data center. You can see that there's 5 data centers that have already been constructed, of which 2 of the 5 are going operational probably within the next 2 weeks. If you fly to the south and you look at the Costas property, you can see that there are also 2 additional data centers there that have gone vertical, but you can see a pad for another 2. And if you look at the pad here at Jan 100, you can see, I'm not going to tell you the number, but there are plans to add quite a few multiple more data centers on that location as well. So it's not just 2 data centers, it's 2 hyperscale data center campuses, of which the $10 billion, I'm going to tell your listeners, and some of these listeners may have heard this before, it was all a lie. Okay, it's way more than $10 billion. We were being very conservative. I'm not going to tell you what the true number is, but let's just say it's way north of $10 billion.
Yeah. And the company just announced a project, similar project, you're familiar with this, in North Carolina. Same price tag, $10 billion. That seems to be kind of the standard way they announce these projects.
Well, Gerard, and yesterday, I don't know if you saw it or not, in Pennsylvania, they announced a $20 billion project.
Yeah.
So they have a strategy with what they present and how they present it. At the end of the day, we continue to work with AWS even as we speak. I think when I did one of the original interviews with Paul Gallo, I was at 10,000 emails at that point. Well, in the last year, I've done another 5,000 emails with AWS. So we're at 15,000 emails that we have corresponded back and forth. So, at some point in the near future, we hope to be in that PA range as well. But that remains to be seen at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting, of course. The really shocking thing about this to me is just doing a drive through the mega site there, south of Canton, close to our MCEDA building. The number of workers on site, what's that up to now?
Well, if you're looking at both campuses today, that number of construction workers is right at 4,000 employees. Okay, the majority of them are going to be at Jan 100 because those buildings are a little bit further along. But we expect when Jan 200, which is the property at the end of Highland Colony Parkway and West County line, goes active, we'll be between probably 5,000 to 6,000 at a total construction worker employment. And you want to talk about a busy intersection at lunch, trying to get out with 3,000 Amazon.com employees and 4,000 construction workers. It's a busy location.
Yeah. And the good news for the area is that they're staying in hotels, they're renting property, they're eating in the restaurants, spending money. A lot of these workers, of course, are Mississippians, some from the area, some from other parts of the state, but obviously they've had to bring in a lot of workers. These subcontractors are that are working on the project from out of state. And I actually ran into a couple up there. Got out of my car. I was taking pictures not so long ago and just introduced myself to somebody. I think we're going to have some people make Mississippi their permanent home.
Look, I can give you numerous examples of individuals that have already moved here, that have already purchased homes, everywhere from Virginia to Alabama to Georgia to Oklahoma to Seattle, Washington. So it continues to grow. We actually have three general contractors that are actually doing the construction. We've got Gray, which is out of Kentucky. We've got Haskell, which is out of Florida. And we've got Yates, which did a joint venture with Turner. And Yates obviously is a Mississippi homegrown company that also is building some of the buildings here at Jan 100. But currently, we've got over about 30 Mississippi-based companies that are actively engaged and employed and have workers out at both sites today. And that includes professional services, construction services, petroleum services, you name it.
Yeah, it truly is incredible. So it's my understanding, Joey, that there's so many workers that there's no place for them to park. They're having to park off site and be bussed into the site to work.
Well, I'll tell your listeners, and I'll tell you, Gerard. As a matter of fact, AWS is looking at purchasing another 400 acres adjacent to Jan 100 just to have locations so that the workers can have a location to park. So
that's incredible.
This is the gift that just keeps giving. It is going to grow. It's going to get larger. So I think they realize that as well, and that's why they're looking at expanding the current footprint. But wow. I mean, if you go to the hotels, if you go to the restaurants, and I'm not just talking just in Canton or Gluckstadt or Madison or Ridgeland, I'm talking all over. I went to Martin's at Livingston 2 times last week, and all I could see was AWS shirts everywhere.
That's awesome. Yeah, so they definitely have made themselves at home in Mississippi, and you've seen it. They speak very highly about the state of Mississippi. MCEDA and you in particular have been acclaimed in some of their communications by the folks that run AWS. And really, having worked with you and been involved, in a board capacity, I feel like it was just being responsive, just accommodating their needs and answering questions and being expedient and being able to fast track everything that they had to get answers to.
Gerard, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, number one, Mississippi has a very business-friendly climate. Madison has a very business-friendly climate. And that's what I want to continue to do. I want to continue to be responsive, not only at the local level, but the state level as well, because at the end of the day, there are other opportunities, I think, with AWS, because they've become our corporate citizen at this point. And they know what they're dealing with when they come to the local level. They know what they come with when they're dealing with the state level. So therefore, it's a known fact and a known partner. And we're going to continue to grow the relationship.
And lots of Mississippi businesses, it's important, I think, Joey, to point this out and highlight this, have benefited from their investment. I mean, they're buying a lot of stuff from a lot of Mississippi businesses, from the people doing the site prep, which is a massive amount, to the road construction. Even the people providing the porta potties are seeing their business just explode.
Well, I've got a list here, and I'll just read off a few of them. Wages Civil, Headwaters, Site Support Group, Jones Walker, Wagner Engineering, Birdsong Construction, Maloof Construction, Hemp Hill Construction, Shackleford, Burns, Cooley, Dennis, and it continues and it goes on and on and on. All of these Mississippi companies they're getting a piece and a place at the table so that they can enjoy some of this investment as well.
Yeah, and I think there's more coming as well. You guys keep doing a great job. All these Mississippi companies do a great job. They're pleased with that, and they say, yeah, we want to do more. I think that's coming. Joey, good to see you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Gerard, thank you anytime. Take care.
You bet.